all of this. I'm wondering from each one of you, what has participating in New American Dream been like, and does it somehow stand apart from perhaps other types of work that you've done in this field? And Afaf, I'll start with you, just your perspective on what this series has been like.
So, Jenna, one of the things that I'm taking away from the series, and this is something that I somewhat knew, but I think it's really been emphasized throughout the series, is the prevalence and how systemic racism really works in such a profound way across the board towards so many communities. And although in some instances and in some ways, the experiences that each community faces is unique, the oppressive forces that bring forth the oppression that we've all been talking about throughout this series have pretty much been the same in terms of a dominating supremacy that is there, that is trying to be maintained at all costs, the economic disparities, how we see it prevalent in people's lives, in schools, in elections, in, biogenetics, and, and some of the specifics that this session has brought to light. And so to see it come out, not just is one of the most profound ways and something that the media tends to focus on, but in other ways that we don't necessarily understand the prevalence of how these systemic racism works to oppress people in the health, field and so many other fields. And that's something that I really owe to my colleagues and to those esteemed panelists, as Brian called all of you, to really get a better understanding of how interrelated these ideas are, and that they're not unique. They're not in their own silos. They all are under the same kind of oppressive force that works in connection, in gears with one another, and how they feed one another to really sort of silence folks and to really keep them as the dominating force. In this case, what we're talking about, white supremacy, to keep the dominators in power.